Hello and welcome to MetanetTV. We've got one of the biggest stars here, Jon Southurst.
I'm not a star.
You are. You're introducing other people as MetanetTV stars.
That's true, right?
Well, you're the big star.
Well, the interviewer shouldn't be the star, right? I mean,
You're not the interviewer. You're the editor-in-chief.
Okay, editor-in-chief.
I'm the interviewer.
That's good.
And I'm a star.
I'm just glad we're somewhere a little bit warmer than we were half an hour ago.
We've thawed out, taken the jackets off, and now we're in Big Mouth in St Kilda. I think it's a really appropriate place to be talking about Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin. And we've got some guests here. We don't know if they're going to come around and say hi on the video. We might get them at the end of the night.
Hopefully.
But here, we're going to talk about Jon.
Okay.
Jon, you're a bit of a legend in the space.
In what way?
Well, you've been around for a while. You've been behind the scenes in media companies, CoinDesk, Bits Online.
Mm-hmm. Bitcoin.com.
Coin.com. Yeah. Got any stories to tell?
I mean, I wish I did. Some people think that if you're a journalist in the crypto space, then you must be some kind of insider. You've hung out with all the people and shared all the background, but I find what happens when you're a journalist is that people don't want to tell you anything at all. Like they just want to use you for PR, if they've got something to launch or promote. But otherwise, you'll be sitting in a room with people and if they'll be talking about serious crypto business, and then they'll say, "Oh, don't say that in front of Jon. He's a journalist." And people, when you're a journalist, people tend to just give you the story that they want published. So they don't give you any of the inside info unless it's about someone else.
So you're kind of an outsider on the inside circle.
An outsider on the inside, yeah. You know everyone, but nobody actually shares anything good with you. I think if you're the best journalist, that's when you go out and you get really smashed with people all the time, and you get to hear all of the off-the-record stuff that you can't print.
You're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I've heard a few things, but I wouldn't say it's anything really salacious.
No?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this time, maybe that's what MetanetTV is going to offer you.
Yeah. Fully salacious. Right.
Fully salacious articles.
That's what we want on MetanetTV. We want the inside goss. If
the
you've
inside
got
of the inside.
A scandal. If you've got a really juicy story about anything in crypto, talk to us about your enemies too. Like if there's anyone you really hate.
We love that kind of stuff. No, we're serious. MetanetTV is aimed at corporations.
Yes.
We're going to be talking to businesses, getting their questions answered. So why MetanetTV? Out of all of the media outlets that you've been working for, why MetanetTV?
Well, towards the end of last year, like I was quite into the whole Bitcoin Cash thing. And the people I was working with were also heavily into Bitcoin Cash. And because I'd worked for Bitcoin.com as well, I knew a lot of the people who were, sort of in that sphere. And at the end of last year, like I went to a Bitcoin Cash event, and this was after the BSV fork. And I could just tell that like a lot of the air had gone out of that balloon. When it was all unified, when we had Calvin and Craig Wright and Calvin Air, that is, and Jimmy, and everyone involved with Bitcoin Cash all together, like it was a real mixture of people, and they were all good people too. But then once it splintered off, I started to realize that a lot of the quality had sort of gone to BSV. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the professionalism as well. And don't get me wrong, there are some good people in Bitcoin Cash still, but it didn't seem to have a focus anymore. And even a lot of the people who were seen as leaders in that scene, they weren't really in it 100% anymore. I saw some people literally phone in their presentations to a conference, and I could tell that the developers and some of the companies that were involved were kind of looking around for a new source of funding, and it seemed to me that there was no one really behind it. anymore. Maybe it's a good project, maybe it had good technology and good devs and everything, but it had just lost its momentum.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So let's backtrack and tell me how you got into Bitcoin initially.
It was, I think I got it by reading a lot of articles on, sound money, gold, libertarian economics. I'd been listening to the Mises Institute podcast and reading all of their journals, and I'd been fascinated with the idea of an internet-based currency for a long time. And basically, I wasn't happy with the way the financial system worked. It was right after the financial crisis, around 2008.
Were you in Japan at the time?
Yeah. And that was pretty horrible. I was teaching English at some of the big banks like Lehman Brothers and Goldman Sachs, and all of that work suddenly dried up. So, and I didn't really like English teaching anyway, so I was looking for something new, and that just kind of sealed the deal. So I was home a lot, reading a lot about economics, and the more I learned, the more I realized that we needed something new. And then I was into tech, so I started to hear about Bitcoin, and yeah.
And why journalism then?
Why journalism?
Yeah.
Well, I'd been a writer and a journalist for a long time, since the 90s, back when I lived here in Melbourne. I used to do tech journalism and tech PR, so it was just a natural fit. I was interested in Bitcoin, but I didn't really think about writing about it. It was around 2013. I offered to write some articles for CoinDesk, which was a brand new online magazine back then. And I started, and then Silk Road happened, and then the big 2013 ramp up happened, and it all just came at me suddenly. And before I knew it, that hobby job that I was doing once a month turned into a full-time job, and the rest is history.
So what trends have you noticed since you've been involved, both the good and the bad?
I was going to start with the bad, saying that just a whole bunch of scams and fails, and people not really knowing what they were doing, what they were getting into, I think. And I don't want to dwell on that too much, but as far as the good goes, there are a lot of people who did know what they were doing. They were, rather than go off and try to start a new coin or a new blockchain, or just come up with some kind of elaborate system that wasn't really necessary, there were people who were still working on Bitcoin, as it was originally intended. And those people are still around. Some of them were hiding in the shadows and just came out in the last couple of years. And I didn't realize that the people who were there right from the start were actually still with the whole project and still had the original ideals. And when I heard that there were people who still believed in Bitcoin as money, as an internet-based economic system, then I got really interested in it.
So what for you are the original ideals that appeal to you?
Just a sound and reliable form of money that would be used as online money. So we have the internet, but there's no economic layer to it. There's no commerce layer. People use the internet for commerce, and you can do credit card transactions and things like that, but it's not native. It's not built into the internet. It's this horrible mixture of old and new sort of glommed onto the internet as we know it. And the idea of sending your credit card info over the internet, like it seemed stupid back in 1999, and it is actually really stupid. Like
it's
basically
not that long ago, really, is it?
No, not at all.
We've moved a lot, transformed the whole industry.
Yeah.
Bitcoin has, particularly.
Yeah, but as far as internet commerce goes, it's still all credit cards.
Yes.
And you're basically giving away your entire line of credit to everyone you buy something for, whether it's like $5 or $10 or $1,000. You have to give them your credit card number, and as they've shown, they're no good at keeping it secure. And it's just insane that we should still be using that system to do trade online now. It wasn't built for that. It's not good for that, and we shouldn't be using it.
And we won't be forever.
I mean, and also, like, there's a lot of people who don't have credit cards. I actually don't have a credit card because...
Yeah, tell me about Japan. I heard you mention before that Japanese people don't really use credit cards.
They don't. They have started to, but they don't use credit cards the way credit card companies want them to. So what credit card companies want you to do is spend lots of money, go into heaps of debt, and then pay them interest every month. But Japanese people don't work like that. Japanese people pay off their debts as soon as they can. So everyone in Japan just, they use their credit card and then they pay it off straight away. So the credit card companies don't get the interest, and they just don't really see any profit in that market.
So is it like here? I mean, most of the time when I go to pay something here, I get offered the machine to pay with my card.
Yeah.
So is that similar in Japan?
Yeah, although it's less widespread. There's still a lot of restaurants and shops that don't take credit cards at all.
What about not taking cash? There are some businesses here that don't take cash anymore.
Oh, really? Well, I think Japan's the opposite of that. Okay. They won't take cards, but everyone uses cash in Japan. Okay. And because it's a really safe country too, so you can walk around with $5,000 in your pocket, and it's never going to get stolen.
So, what about the Japanese people adopting Bitcoin or adapting to Bitcoin? Is that happening? I know with Roger Ver there and the Bitcoin Cash movement, are they making progress, or is that stagnating? What's the feel in Japan?
I think they have made progress. I don't know if they've made any in the last couple of years or so, but a lot of the exchanges were based in Japan because they had a lot of the FSA in Japan drew up a lot of financial regulations that were tough but permissive for Bitcoin companies. And because it got that legitimacy, a lot of businesses, larger businesses started to accept Bitcoin. We have the big camera department store and a bunch of others all using Bitflyer wallets to pay at point of sale. It's kind of a novelty for them, but they are doing it. They're prepared to experiment. But as far as the man on the street goes, I'd say knowledge of Bitcoin isn't really any higher in Japan than it is anywhere else. They're still using it mainly for trading and speculating and gambling.
Have you taken your mic out onto the street to ask people?
Not yet.
Is that something you'd do? Because I've seen documentaries on people in Japan doing really crazy on the street stuff.
Yeah, talking to real Japanese people.
Yeah.
I think I'd get someone who speaks Japanese a lot better than I am, and it looks a little friendlier than I do.
That'd be half the fun.
I actually don't like talking to strangers much, which is weird for a journalist, I guess.
Okay. All right. So the trends that you've seen, do you think we're headed now towards the original Bitcoin? Is there a real chance that it succeeds? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I got into BSV was because I thought that was the one that had the best chance of succeeding at this point.
Because you've been around a lot of the crypto industry as such.
Yeah.
How does the BSV society compare to crypto cults?
Crypto cults.
Bias there.
Well, on the one hand, it's just like all the others. Each one of them's got their social media community, their social scene, meetups, that kind of thing. But we have Satoshi Nakamoto, and I think, maybe some people say that's cultish, but I bet all of the rest of them would love to have Satoshi Nakamoto on board. Certainly none of the altcoins do. And for Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin BTC, to not have Satoshi Nakamoto on its side, I think that's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
It's like following that band you used to love, and the lead singer doesn't like them anymore.
Not only doesn't like them, but he's calling them out for their shenanigans.
Yeah.
But they're still persevering. Fascinating. It's a fascinating world.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is.
Okay. What would you... Where are you going to go with MetanetTV?
With MetanetTV?
What direction are you going to take it?
Well, whichever direction I'm told.
As the editor-in-chief, what kind of articles are you looking for?
Probably the sort of articles you can't see anywhere else. You know, we are more Metanet focused, and that's good because there's a lot of crypto news out there, and you can read crypto Twitter and get the juice there. But I think I want sort of serious news, sort of hard news, maybe longer pieces on real use cases. We'll get technical as well, because we got some writers there who are pretty deep into the tech.
Yeah.
And some of them are devs themselves.
And we've spoken also about addressing industry-specific concerns, so giving examples of how the original Bitcoin can work and save companies money and time and reduce risk, increase security compared to the systems that they've already got. It'd be really interesting when we can get this into the mainstream world and have them contact the writers directly and get their specific questions answered. I think it's pretty exciting the direction we're going.
Yeah, I think you answered that question much better than I did.
Well, I just love the thought of being involved in a project that can really make an impact in the mainstream.
Yeah. Well, I think it is that commerce layer that we've been looking for on the internet. But the MetaNet's an interesting project, and when I got into Bitcoin SV, I'd never even heard of the MetaNet. That was something that came along later.
And Craig just dropped that bomb in the London Coin Geek.
He kind of did,
conference.
Yeah, I asked someone once what was one of our writers actually. I said, what's the thing that appeals most to you about BSV? And he said, the MetaNet. And I was too embarrassed to admit that I hadn't heard of it, so I went and started researching.
I remember you also saying that you actually learned one of the reasons that you like being in journalism because you learn from the writers.
Yeah.
As the editor-in-chief, you can actually absorb the information.
Yeah, that's true.
And learn that way.
Because you're kind of forced to read a lot of articles that you might not read, otherwise. And also as a writer, when you write about a topic, you understand it a lot better than if you just read the article.
All right, John. Well, it's great to work with you.
Yes, likewise.
It's going to be fun. We've got some great people on board. Excellent writers.
Much better than me.
All right, well, we're going to do these ongoingly so we can record the progress of what's happening with MetanetTV. You can continue to meet the writers. John will be continuing with the interviews. And if you have any questions, send them to us on Twitter or Slack.
Yeah.
Your Bitcoin SV Train.
I am Bitcoin SV Train. You can send it to me, or it's at MetanetTV.
At Metanet.
Do we have that Twitter account yet?
Metanet ICU.
Metanet ICU.
Yeah, Metanet ICU.
Better stick to that one for now.
That's the umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of Metanet stuff coming out.
To be finalized.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. See ya.
See ya.